All right, that was not what we wanted. It went live on our old live. Don't know why. That's always weird when it does that. I played a whole song, everything. That was weird. Um, I don't know what that was. I hope that didn't ruin our video. Why did it do that? What is this What is this doing, bro? Anyway, all right. Whatever. I don't know what's happening. It just loves to frick me over on Christmas. All right, there we go. Good to see you guys. All right, frick this. I had a whole other live. It just does this. It does this. It pisses me off. Okay. It just went onto our old stream and just made a new stream. It just does that. What's up, guys? All right, so interestingly enough, as I was doing the research to find these interviews, I see all the Melani Gibb as well. That can be for the day after Christmas. I went through a lot of those and saw that there's multiple parts as well. So, man, frick this. I can't believe it did that. So, I hope everybody made it to the correct live today. Happy Merry almost Christmas Eve, which is the eve of the eve. We're going to jump in this today. Okay, so context. This was before apparently the kids were found, but I don't think that's going to really change much of my mind, I'm being honest with you. So we'll get into it. We'll go from there. Yeah, you guys are ride or dies. I love you, man. Let's get it.
All right, well, the first thing I want to start with, Melanie and Ian, is your reaction to the autopsy results, which came out just the other day concerning your uncle, Melani. Were you guys surprised at all? What did you think when you heard the news?
So the other day, I'm already going to get frustrated. Here we go.
It was relieving, but we weren't surprised. We knew that it would be natural causes. We had no reason to think anything otherwise. I think it was just a comfort, like finally, like this part is over and it's one more stepping stone to just keep revealing truth. And then, the second half of the day, they open it up and say, well, it's still under investigation again. It feels like every time we get a little bit of good news, there's a little bit of drag to that too. But overall,
what good news have we gotten at this point? What good news was coming out?
Relief and comfort to be in the right direction.
You mentioned that they still said they're investigating, and there's going to be people watching that still don't believe those results or say there's something more here. What do you say to them?
I mean, you see, you post truth out there and people have already made up their minds and decided. Ian made a bad joke, like, well, did they test for all the invisible poisons? Like it's.
Is that funny? That's not a joke and that's not funny. And there's nothing that you've said that's true. So let's just start there because your recordings are damning.
People will still think whatever speculation or rumors or whatever they want to believe, even when it's right in front of their face. And I was talking about this too. I was like, when Tylee and JJ show up, again, and you're here again, I don't know if people would even believe it. They'd still, go on with their own, still a cult. It's still, they've done something bad. And a lot of people already made up their minds. And we just want to come on and share what we do know and share truth. And hopefully we, keep getting opportunities where people will be open to that and be able to listen.
So, Melanie, Alex was your uncle, and, from the beginning, a lot of people...
That's a scary-looking motherfricker right there. Tell me I'm wrong. That looks like a damn psychopath, if I've ever seen one.
Questions out there is
you in front of a gray background with a gray shirt.
to why he died. Was this big a coincidence? Was this just a big coincidence? Did you, from the beginning, think it was, or did in the back of your mind, did you think there might be something more here?
There was absolute shock when I got a phone call from Zulema, and she was telling me I had spoken with Alex earlier that day, and he had seemed okay, but I knew that week before he was having trouble with, he was overall a pretty healthy guy, but stubborn, like wouldn't ever, put a Band-Aid on if he's bleeding
overall everywhere. A healthy guy. I can honestly attest to you he was not healthy. By any stretch of the imagination was Alex a healthy human being. Like, we're talking about take care of yourself or grooming or anything to be healthy that you would do or eat right or anything. That was not Alex Cox. So that's not even true.
And, wouldn't do regular checkups. He just was a tough guy. And when he told me we were going to meet up at one point, I was going to bring him some of his stuff because he had moved down to be with Solana. And he then said, hey, let's not meet up halfway. Let's wait. I'm not feeling very good. And that was big for him to say that because he never would say that he wasn't feeling good. So the week before, he said, I just kind of have tightness in my chest or having trouble breathing. He said he had bent down to get a water bottle and took the breath out of him. And,
that was all stress. I think he knew what was coming. What's up, Brandon? What's up, Emmy? What's up, Melody? Kira? It's good to see you guys.
Was absolutely worried and was like, you need to get to the doctor. And he was like, no, I'm fine. And the morning of, it was really kind of, I called him probably every other day once he wasn't in Arizona anymore, or in Idaho. And the morning I called him, Ian was at work, and he was somebody I could kind of just, you could tell him anything. He's like a vault. And I was just openly telling him about, things.
You could tell Alex anything, and he was like a vault. I don't have a red flag anywhere near me, but I need to buy one. I'm going to buy one today at Target.
Things in my new marriage, things that were, challenging, or things that were going really well. And he was just my best friend at that point. And he shared some things with me that were, I just felt like, write them down when he started talking to me. I don't know why I felt impressed to do that, but
like
he
what?
He said, Melanie, the most important thing in your marriage is to be loving, be supportive, and be patient. And he kept repeating that. And I was like,
yeah. So Alex was a great marriage guru because Alex was married for a couple months the first time he was ever married, then never married again till Zulema, which lasted a few weeks. So just be loving and kind and patient for those 3 weeks that we were married.
And I need to remember that always. Like, it always comes back to that. And, it was his last words to me, and I didn't know that. But it was really just special, like, that I felt, like, hey, write that down. And he just said, everything's going to be fine. And, just keep moving forward in faith. You're going to have your kids back soon, and everything's going to work out. And just go on faith.
So let's stop there. This is going to be a lot of stops. So for her, the reality is that she planned on Brandon being gone. And I do mean unalived, because she thought that was funny that Alex scared Brandon. And then she was going to get her kids back. So that was the plan, because you can see the trajectory of what they were planning out, because that's what they were doing. So she thought that Alex was going to take out Brandon, and then she was going to get her kids because she's the next living parent.
And later that evening, I get a call from Zulema, and I think I was excited. I started telling her about my day, and then it just shifted, and Ian was there, and I kind of just went into a shock for a little bit. And then I fell to the floor, and I just felt all the feelings of losing such a close friend. And I hadn't been very close with Alex most of my life. I was closer with my aunt and even my other uncle. But after starting to have challenges in my last marriage, Alex was a truck driver, and you could just call him. He always answered, and he would just talk and let you talk to him. And I do.
He's also willing to unalive people for others. So that must have been pretty convenient.
Talk a lot, and he would let me just vent, and he would say, he never would put somebody down or judge them. He would just say, well, here's how you handle that situation. And like, nobody could do any wrong in his eyes. He just was very positive, and somebody that was so influential to be around when I'm going through the hardest thing and missing my 4 children. He just picked me up every day.
How's Zulema doing?
I love Zulema with all my heart. I feel like it's been really hard. She hasn't been able to really mourn and grieve the loss of her husband. And
this is not funny, okay? But like, do you guys remember when we just watched that prayer group that was saying that they were getting revelation that Jesus and God were telling them that Lori and Chad are innocent and this is all part of the plan? And the dude was sitting there, and the rocking, that's how Ian is right now. He is not moved, barely, and he's not saying anything.
All the accusations going out there, she doesn't really feel ready to come forward and share that story, and I respect that, or share her feelings on everything. And she's still just trying to get through every day and missing her husband, but she's doing okay.
I want to kind of back up to hear a little bit about each of you guys, because there has been some limited information that's come out about each of you. But would you mind just telling me about yourself, how you guys met, how you ended up in Idaho and then back in Arizona? Mm-hmm. Ian, could you start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Southern California, and I got married in 2010, moved to Idaho in 2011 with my ex-wife, Natalie. We had 2 kids together. So right now they're 9 and they're 7, Max and Lily. miss, and you know, they're fantastic kids. They, you know, I miss them a lot right now, and you know, I would love to get them down here to Arizona. But so yeah, we were there with our kids. I started school at BYU, Idaho. I never finished. Just work, school, and being a dad was too much, and I just figured I'd work. So Natalie and I hit our 9th anniversary, and on our 9th anniversary, she asked for a divorce. And so we
That's
worked
unnecessary details, by the way. A little too much too TMI, a little too personal. Not that I'm trying to say anything about his story, but to go into that kind of detail and bring up your marriages as your one-sided thing is unnecessary, but whatever.
through that. That started in March of 2019. Got all wrapped up in July, and then I decided I'd try to jump back into dating a little bit. Talk to I was talking to my friends and my family, and just kind of saying, like, I want to get back out and meet people. It wasn't really my goal to find a wife. I just wanted to find people to hang out with, and at the same time, I just gone through a really rough divorce. It kind of tore me up, and I'm trying to put my life back together, and maybe looking for a little bit of validation, just somebody to talk to who's not going to judge me and push me away. So I downloaded some dating apps and found Melanie on one of them and asked her on a date that day. I figured, I hate talking to people through text. I don't feel like I communicate well over text, or I can't. I'm sarcastic a lot, and so that doesn't come across well in text sometimes. So I just I feel better meeting people in person. So invited her out to dinner. We went to Mackenzie River.
Sorry, what month was this, Ian?
That was savage.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this was November.
Happy anniversary.
November.
Here's a divorce. Happy 9th. Here's the papers.
I mean, you had moved to Rexburg.
The first week.
That's pretty savage. And again, I'm not going to judge because I don't even know that story. I don't know anything about it, so it's not my business to try to say anything. But
November, I moved to Rexburg.
So you both were already in the same town together.
Right.
We were across the street from each other.
Yeah, we actually found that out.
And you didn't know that?
I didn't even know, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you went to Mackenzie River.
Yeah, she was just, I don't know how to describe it other than she just, everything just kind of clicked with her. We'd had so many similar experiences with the way our divorces went, the way the last year of our lives had gone with just the struggles, and we understood each other. I found no judgment with her, no preconceived notions. She just wanted to get to know me, and we spent the next 2 days basically just talking constantly. It was I guess with the previous people I dated, it felt like I was trying to make up reasons to continue to date those people, to go on a second date or whatever. But with her, it was just easy. It clicked, and I didn't have to try to do mental gymnastics to justify a second date.
And then you got married shortly thereafter, right?
Correct. So, yeah, one of the things that I really loved, one of the things that I guess that led to us getting married so quickly was our children. I learned that, she had 4 kids, and I absolutely love that. She said she saw my dating profile, that one of the first things I put in my bio, I guess, is that I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids. I love them with all my heart. And I want them to be a big part of our lives. And I didn't want anybody to be a part of my life that wasn't going to be supportive of my role as a father to my two children. And it's the same with her. I still haven't had the opportunity to meet her kids yet, and I can't wait. But seeing her interact with my kids for the first time, we came to Arizona. I came down with my 2 children to have Thanksgiving with my family, and she came down a few days later. And on her way down, she was talking about how she didn't have anybody to go to Thanksgiving with, and so I invited her to come be with my family. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing, and so she showed up, and my kids immediately fell in love with her. They, my daughter, she can be a little shy, a little standoffish.
Bro. Oh, Emmy, that was funny.
And just immediately was attached to Melanie. Wanted to just take her around and show her everything she'd been doing, play games with her, tell her everything that's on her mind. My daughter she has no filter, so she'll just say exactly what she's thinking. And just to see Melanie interact with my kids, it just made me fall really hard, really fast for her, because she's just so sweet and good with them.
At one point, I had gotten out of the car to go run into the gas station on our road trip, and Lily said to Ian, "Don't blow it, Dad."
Well, I don't think you blew it. You guys were married shortly thereafter, right?
Oh, Nate's funny, bro.
Thanksgiving?
Right, yeah, November 30th.
It was really fast, and I was in this battle still with my ex, and didn't have my kids with us right then, but we felt both ready. We pray about decisions together, and we felt, that it was right that we should get married when we did. And, Vegas wedding wasn't dreamy or anything, but our goal was to be sealed in the temple, one day. And so we said, let's do this while we have Max and Lily. And then when we have Braxton, Brighton, Blake, and Breeze too, let's all be together when we have that special
We
day.
need to have this conversation because I can't keep listening to it without saying it. So remember, we just heard Melanie's tape. Remember, so we have to go back and forth because the time jumps is really hard to remember. This is in 2020 prior to the kids being found. Now, a lot of this stuff has already been done. So this is what, early 2020 it has to be when they did this interview. I don't remember the date. You know what? Let's see what the upload date was. 5 years ago. It doesn't say. It just says 5 years ago. Anyway, context is that we just heard in Chad's trial that Melanie said that Braxton and Bridie are with Alex, who had died, on the phone. So that whole idea that the kids were kicked out of their bodies or whatever the case was, that was something that she mentioned. So that's not acceptable. And then just have to say that out loud.
We still together.
Now, were Alex and Zulema married? Did you guys have a joint wedding, or was that separate?
So Alex and Zulema had been dating for several months, and Alex was very ready to marry Zulema, and she was a little bit like, I'm going to wait till I get an answer. I know I'm supposed to be with you, Alex, but I'm going to wait till it feels like the right time. And they had talked about, you want to get married in Jackson or, Las Vegas. And it just so happened whenever they picked their date and had it more planned than Ian and I did. And, the coincidence of us picking the day right after them wasn't planned or anything. It was just what happened. And they were there, and we had made the decision in Arizona during Thanksgiving, and we said, let's do it. And while we're there, we need a witness, and Alex and Zulema are there. And, this isn't our big wedding day. This is just the beginning of our lives together. And we'll have that special moment when we're all together as a family.
Okay. So they got married the day before you guys did.
Yes, I believe so.
So
we got married on the 30th, and I think they got married on the 29th.
And was it just an intimate ceremony for the both of you, like any extended family or, friends, or was it just kind of a small group?
And just so we have context, I'm 95% sure this is their lawyer's shoulder. So he's there watching this and making sure.
Yeah, it was just for Ian and I, we had 2 or 3 hours. We got a dress and a tux and got the kids all dressed up and their hair done. And it was a small, I think the Lucky Little Wedding Chapel, I think is where we picked. And it's a small room. And it was just very intimate, quick, not anything crazy or anything, but it was special to us. And then Alex and Zulema just were there as
I really want to skip this, but I don't know what's going to happen next, so I can't.
Witnesses. And it was just planned last second. We didn't have time to invite a lot of people. It was just on a whim decision, and felt like it's what we should do.
Now, Melanie, were you born and raised in Arizona?
I wasn't. So I was born in Utah, but lived in Phoenix as a baby, and then lived in California for a while. And then Seattle is where I spent a lot of time growing up.
And your mom unfortunately passed away when you were young, right?
Yeah. So my mom got really sick a couple years after having me. She almost died having me. She had a deep vein thrombosis, blood clot, and the Cox side doesn't really have great genes. Like there's a lot of my grandpa's had cancer and blood clots, and initially when we heard about, I believe my grandfather was told by the police that Alex, they had thought that he had a lung clot was the reason for his death initially. So that's what we thought this whole time. That it kind of runs in the family, and that makes sense. But yeah, I think my parents had a rough time when my mom got really sick with type 1 diabetes, also with gastroparesis. She couldn't have the ability to absorb nutrients, and she was in and out of seeing doctors and in and out of hospitals. And I think it was hard on my dad. I know there was some infidelity on his part, and they tried to work through things, and they just couldn't make it work. And I spent
a lot of this is
a lot of time in the Cox home. So
unnecessarily detailed, and I'm just putting that out there. That did not need to be thrown in there. That your dad supposedly had infidelity. That was just some of this stuff that's being thrown in here on both of those sides is called TMI. This is just like, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, as I'm listening, I'm just like, this is like, that's just an unnecessary detail to throw in there. A lot of this is unnecessary detail.
Mary and Janice, my grandparents, they lived in California, and I lived with them for a while. And my mom was sick, and I remember my dad traveling a lot for his job. And my mom finally felt like she was healthy enough when we moved to Seattle, where my dad got a job there. And it was just me, my mom, and my dad. My mom couldn't have any more kids, and I was kind of their baby. And when I was 6, my dad I remember, that's about as far back as I can remember, is the night my dad took me, and he said we were going to go get gas, and we never came back. We left my mom there, and he turned the power off. He took all of her credit cards, he took her planner, and just left her there. And she was really sick to the point she couldn't really take care of herself. And we hid out in a hotel for a couple months. And then from then on started a nasty custody battle.
Placed, so I moved because I didn't like where I was.
Between them. And, when you're little, I just remember just being quiet, not really understanding what was going on. And I don't remember what went on in the court process. I just remember not seeing my mom a lot. And she fought as much as she could. And I think she got so sick, ran out of money, and things just weren't, just in her case. And I grew up with just, my dad, and then later my stepmom when my dad got remarried. And I heard all manner of things about the Coxes, and my dad kind of cut off communication with them. And these were people I grew up with, and I knew they were good people, and I loved them. And it didn't feel right, a lot of the lies I was being told about them. But my mom later passed away when I was 9. Lori was the one that called and told me the news. She said, your mom's in a coma, and she's probably not going to make it. And I remember that phone call, and I've always loved and trusted Lori. She's always been somebody that is just so much unconditional love on her end, no judgment, no drama, and I admire her so much. And
no drama? That's not even true before all of this started. That's not even close to true. So no drama. The hell are we talking about?
I don't think I would have wanted to have that phone call by anybody else to have to give me that news. And I remember flying up with my dad, who took me to see my mom last time in hospice. She was out, and she didn't come out of her diabetic coma. There was no, it wasn't a surprise. My mom was always very sick and on the line of, we don't know how long Stacy's going to last. And after age 9, and my mom passed, my dad didn't let me talk or see any of that side of the family. And I didn't know why, other than he was saying all sorts of things about them. And finally, when I was 15, I found my Uncle Adam on a radio. I think I Googled him. We had computers at high school, and I found him, and he was one of my favorite people in my life that I remember growing up. And then it kind of started connecting all those ties that I had gone so long from age 9 all the way to 15 without. And it's like we jumped right back into it. And for all those years, they didn't have me, and they tried sending packages, and my dad would return them, and I never understood why. I just felt something off in my heart, but no judgment or resentment on, why my dad's experiences. And
kind of like Lori raised you
I'm losing
after your mom passed.
Mainly my grandma Janice. Lori was young and kind of, busy with her life, but
I'm sorry. I just and it's not to be rude. It's just, I genuinely I'm not here to hear the entire history of everything that happened.
Take me and go do fun things. And also my Aunt Summer and my Uncle Adam and I wasn't super close with Alex. I didn't ever get his jokes. He's a comedian, and I just was always like, it probably takes me a minute to process, like longer than most people. And so I would never really connect as much with Alex as I did with Adam or Lori. But yeah, they were so.
Because Alex was off-putting. That's why. His jokes were crude and a little too much for anybody, where you're just kind of like, that off key on the piano, that's him. Like, he just says something, you're like, damn. Like, that's just not something you say in front of all these people. This is just like not even no filter, just no care of who's there.
Important in my life, and to not have that growing up and have that confusion of, what happened and why did things go south. And up until 3 years ago, I didn't know that my dad had been telling everybody this other side of, hey, your mom died of anorexia, and, she was mentally ill, and, basically made himself look like a hero. I took you away from her, and I knew that didn't feel right. And I was kind of in shock that everybody in the whole world thinks that she died of anorexia, and she's not here to tell her story. And I have all of her medical records and all the court documents. And it's hard seeing the same patterns of what happened to my mom now happened in my life, where my kids are taken away from me wrongfully, and things are said about me that aren't true. But I know my kids know who I am, and my own father is helping my ex-husband right now, and they've had my kids at their house.
Do you see why, though, I can't trust anything you say, right? Because you're such a liar, and you're so grouped in with so many liars that anything you say, that even if it was true, I couldn't believe you because of the mountain of lies that you've done just to protect yourself and protect a bunch of guilty murderers. So I don't really know what to do with that. Even if you were telling the truth, I couldn't believe you.
Tell me, and I just have bullying text messages from my dad, and that's upsetting. I feel like you should love your kid no matter what. If all these false claims, if they were even true, if they really thought I was some crazy and in a cult and done something horrible, shouldn't they just reclaim me with kindness as their daughter and love me anyways? But
no, that's not how that shit works. There's certain lines when you cross, when you go to unaliving somebody, that changes things. You can love your child or your parent or whatever the case is, but no, you don't just like, hey, everything's good, because we can't trust you. No one can trust you.
The fact that these things aren't true, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I don't have, a good relationship right now where I feel like I can keep them close in my life right now. I'm kind of just loving them from a distance and letting everything play out. And I don't judge anyone for all the things that they're scared of or confused about, because this case is heavy and it's unlike anything. I never thought this would be our lives. Like it's unreal.
What is funny? Even if you're nervous, the shit is not funny.
I do want to ask you, there have been other reports about your mother's death, that somehow Lori may have been tied into it, or whatever's killing all these other people. Your mom may have been the first victim. Can you address that?
Yeah, she died of natural causes. It's on her death certificate. But she had type 1 diabetes, and with gastroparesis with that, like she went to every type of doctor. She even went and, went to, I think she got tested for eating disorders, for everything she got tested for. And it was so clear what she had. It was so far from anorexia. It was a total manipulation of, she's tiny and can't absorb nutrients. And he took us and ran with the story of that. And it's hurtful and it's untrue. And she's not here to tell that truth. And, reading through court documents, there's so many things he could have said, because we're real and open about our family. We make mistakes. He could have said, true things, but it was mostly just lies about everything. And that's similar to what's happening in my family court case. It's the same pattern. And I think we go through these things to learn and experience, and seeing that same exact thing happen now in my life. It's too ironic that
it's ironic. You literally laughed about Alex trying to literally take Brandon's life. But okay. I'm sure it's all
attacks
lies.
being out there and seeing her. I still see her.
Hell?
Let me shift a little bit here to JJ and Tylee. When's the last time you guys saw them?
So Ian's never met
I've never met him.
Tylee.
You've never met them. Okay. What about you, Melanie?
So the last time I saw them was they were packing up their home in Chandler where Charles had been shot. And I remember how emotional it was. Just, it's hard to be there. This is where this big thing happened. And Tylee was like, it's hard being here in this house after that situation happened. And Lori had, said, hey, I think she'd thrown out Ida, but I didn't know for sure, because sometimes she's had to do things to protect her kids. The court systems haven't protected her, and Tylee and Colby were abused by their dad, Joe. And
that has no fucking reason to come out of your mouth right now. That has nothing to do with what Nate asked you. This shit has been thrown around so much by people in my family too. It is disgusting. That has nothing to do. Nate asked you when's the last time you saw Tylee and JJ. How the hell did we end up on that spot? Where are you going with that? That's nothing for you to be discussing in any way, shape, or form. What the hell are you doing?
Court system didn't protect them there, and she's had this history of doing everything she can to protect Tylee and JJ, and I've always seen that in her since I was a teenager, and she flew me out to go nanny for Tylee and JJ. Like, I've never seen any evidence or anything at all that tells me that Lori would purposely harm her children or anything. And so it's hard, all the attacks being out there and seeing her. I still see her as the wonderful mom she is. When I see her come in court, I'm looking for something off that I'm not seeing, because I've had every fear of where could they be. But the last time I saw them was the end of August as they were moving, because I think they moved up that first week in September. And
hey, did you visit Rexburg at all before? Like, did you come up and visit Lori before you moved here?
I did I think on a weekend where I didn't, because we had 50-50 custody. My ex Brandon Boudreaux and I, and so anytime I didn't have wasn't my time with the kids, I was a wreck and just missed my kids. And so I'd try to go hike in Arizona or go on a trip. And I did go visit Lori for a weekend up there. And she said, just come, try out somewhere new, travel, and come see if you like it up here. And we toured BYU, Idaho, and
never saw Tylee, right? You toured BYU, Idaho, where Tylee was supposedly staying, and you never saw her one time, even though she was in the dorms, supposedly. Okay.
She said Tylee was with friends, and she always is with friends, so I didn't ask any questions about that. And JJ's either doing some type of therapy or with a nanny or in a school that will help him. And so
24/7. JJ, it would have been even smarter if Lori said that JJ was in a facility, because at least that would make sense. You're telling me that JJ was in school, in therapy, or with a babysitter out of the house. Let's call it off campus. Every single moment that you were there visiting.
Him, I wasn't like asking, where is he? And I've always trusted her, and I had known that they left to Idaho because they were being threatened by people. And I didn't want to ask so many questions. And
who tell me to my face, who threatened Lori? Please tell me what Lori's threat was. Who was threatening Lori?
I didn't know what to do with that, and I just was like there for love and support. What can I do for you? And you don't have to tell me. I just want to be there to help you guys.
And so then you moved up later in November. You didn't see the kids at all. And did you think that was a little suspicious, a little weird? I mean, I could understand maybe one day not seeing them or 2 days, but after days and days go by, you don't see the kids. Tylee's Jeep isn't there. Did you ever ask Lori, hey, where are Tylee and JJ?
This is ringing red flag. I would not even need that much information to tell you guys that I think this is an awkward interview.
So when I moved up that first week in November, Alex helped me move on Halloween night. And we drove up that first week in November with a moving truck. And I was very involved in setting up my home, getting everything for my kids. I did bring all of the things they do need with them, besides, a mattress that had stains on it and some broken toys and outgrown clothes.
You see the dance. Direct question. Was it not weird that you didn't see Tylee and JJ? Well, I moved up and I brought a mattress that didn't bring the one with stains, and I brought their toys and I set up my own home. It's never a direct answer, because this is called evading. And then you talk so much that it's supposed to drown out the original thought that somebody had. Like, if you ask a question and someone dances like this, it drowns out the original fact of what you were talking about. And so the person who even asked the question can be confused because you're said so much unnecessary filler.
That I left out front. Not all of their belongings. Just I took everything that was important to us and to kind of consolidate into a smaller apartment as well. And I was getting my home ready, and I'm gonna figure out what's going on with the kids and get my kids back here. We're gonna have a fresh start. And Lori is very independent. She's doing her own thing, and she was next door. But I spent most of my time with Alex. Alex was he'd come over and hang out with me if I was having. Most days were hard and teary with missing my kids, and he would kind of come over and lift me up. And so if I saw Lori, she was still moving in that process and getting situated there. And so I didn't spend a lot of time over there. I did see some of their things, and she had a room set up perfectly for Tylee and JJ, and it didn't seem strange to me. And
if I had a cousin, aunt, uncle, friend that I lived next door with and did not ever once run into my own cousins and or their kids for a long period of time, that alone would make me question them. And I'd be asking constantly, hey, dude, what is going on? Where are your kids at? Like, I haven't seen them, but especially your own first cousins, a 16-year-old who cannot legally do anything by herself, and a little 7-year-old boy who has autism who needs to constantly be watched. Okay. Never questioned, because they had a room and there's stuff outside. So apparently that justifies not seeing them one time. And mind you, them going to Missouri, them going to other places, Hawaii. They went to Hawaii in November. They went to Missouri together. But they didn't spend any time together because Alex came over and did funny voices, and he spent most of his time with her.
Threats that she was getting from Kay Woodcock and from others, and
show me what Kay threatened her with. Show me that. Show me the threat.
I guess I didn't ask questions because I knew that history. I knew what was going on, and I was in my own head. I'm trying to find out where my own kids are.
There's going to be people that say, when we get together with relatives, the talk instantly turns to our kids, soccer games, piano recitals, whatever, that, you know, you can't, there's not a lot else to talk about, you know, other than family. So when you actually would see her, did that sort of conversation ever come up of, you know, I could maybe understand a day or two, but if you're going on weeks and you haven't seen him, like, oh, hey, where's JJ been? Especially because he has special needs.
Right. Yeah. And so she would tell me things like one of the neighbor boys next door, I forget his name, but she would tell me all his friends and how funny they were. And some people were a little bit, JJ was very high energy, and sometimes he'd be in other people's space. And I think sometimes that bothered some other people. So she would say, well, these are the friends that are just, you know, not judgmental, and they'll just let JJ.
What the fuck does that have to do with Nate said? You haven't, that wasn't even relative, even close to the realm of what she said. She asked you, why has JJ not been seen knowing he has special needs? And somehow it became about JJ invading his friend's personal space that are pretty cool with it.
JJ come in and she said that he loved his school there. We did. She always talks about her children, but just during that time, I guess, from November to, I guess, the 20th.
Don't ask him. He wired up and was afraid for his own kid's life. That tells you everything in the world. That homie was so scared that for his own ex-wife and for his own children, and wore a wire for a fat minute. Don't ask him.
It was about when Ian and I started dating. I didn't see them, but I didn't see a lot of Lori. I saw Alex pretty much every day, and anytime I guess would go over, like, what's Higley? You know, she's out with friends.
Oh yeah, no, she's just out with friends. She leaves at 2 a.m. and comes home at 2 a.m. and then she brushes her teeth and leaves at 2:30. So that way you never see her, you never see her car. And yeah, JJ's at therapy. He's never has dinner. He never comes around. He's not there at night. He's not there in the morning. You never hear anything since your wall is shared. You don't even hear a child. But he's got friends that he gets too close to their face too. So just remember that. He gets too close to their faces, but they're okay with it.
You know, we're doing everything we can to protect the kids from Kay. Kay's causing a lot of trouble right now, and I didn't really get into too much of what they're.
Kay trying to find her grandson? Yeah, no, Kay is just she's a pot stirrer, huh?
Custody deal with that was, but yeah, to be honest, I'm in my own head and don't know where my own kids are at this point. And as we know, later in November is when I went down to Utah to try to see, you know, what we could work out and where they were at.
And then you guys got married and end of November. Then did you move into Ian's place?
No, so we kind of kept both of our apartments, and I had a lease on mine, and he did also. And so we would sleep at my apartment and set up stuff for Max and Lily over at mine. And I had one extra bedroom. And so we spent most time at my apartment.
I would pay money to know what Nate's thinking. I'm going to have to ask him someday what he was thinking during this.
When did you guys find out that there was an investigation that JJ and Tylee were missing?
So I'm foggy on this date, but Detective Aramis.
You knew way before everybody else. Because you knew to not talk to the cops and talk in damn code and use a bunch of pop culture movie references to make sure that you guys could talk safely and wonder if you guys are being tapped and followed and watched. Yeah. So we already know. We already know what it is.
Theo and another gentleman had come by to my door while I was moving my stuff in. So this had to have been early in November, I think, probably the second week in November. And I get a knock at the door and I open it and see police, and I'm like, you know, jumpy because, you know, what's my ex up to? What's the next thing? What's
your ex up to? What have you been up to in that time? Because we know what happened in October, and we know just from the smallest, slightest bit, you wanted Brandon to be afraid of Alex for the rest of his life.
Are my kids okay? And he just asked, he said, hey, you know, or do you know who lives next door? And I said, yeah, it's, I think Alex's name was on the lease. So sometimes my uncle's over there, sometimes my aunt goes over there, and just, you know, openly. And I didn't know what that was about. And that was it. That was just my first encounter with Rexford police, I guess.
And that's when they said that the kids are missing.
Yeah. And they told you to leave and get out of the county so that way they couldn't ask you questions. Man, this is stupid stuff, bro.
No, not yet. This was early November. So November, right before Thanksgiving, we were driving down to Arizona. Ian was already there, and I was driving down to meet his family and have Thanksgiving with his family. And I get a text from Lieutenant Ball that says, somebody's broken into your home. I need you to call me right away. And I'm immediately like, oh great, my ex has sent somebody. I knew he had a private investigator following me, and I immediately think like he sent somebody to come.
Yeah, no, Brandon Boudreaux is nuts. He broke into your house. He's an enemy. Do you see the game we're playing here? So this is how Lori and this whole group, but specifically Lori and her, are doing this. Pin it all against the exes. The exes are crazy. They're after you. They're trying to hurt you. They're trying to start problems with you. They won't just let you live your life, and they're attacking you. And so what did Brandon do? Break into the house? Sent a PI? He paid a PI to break into your home? Does that make any logical sense? And how are you the victim and project that onto, the villain, and project that onto the victims? That's a special kind of skill, in my opinion.
Break into my home. That was my first thought. And I didn't know what to text back. I was kind of processing. And then later I texted back and I said, well, I'm with, people I love on Thanksgiving. And at least that's what's important. If whatever the heck was taken, I had my emergency cash savings, and I had, just a computer, an iPad, an old phone I didn't use. Like, I didn't know what had been taken, but I was like, if my whole apartment is robbed, it's okay. I got everything I need. It's not about things. And then he said, I need you to call me. And then later found out that it was the Rexburg police. They had knocked down my door, and they had taken a lot of my things. And I was kind of felt bothered that was the text I got, but I understand they're just doing an investigation. And as soon as I returned after Thanksgiving, I went right into Detective Aramisio, and I just was like, what's going on? And I'm here to get my stuff. And he asked me about, my marriage previously with Brandon, and kind of, what I'm doing here, and asked me about Lori and Alex. And I just kind of an open book. Here's what I know. And Lori and Chad had
You're selectively open book.
Left probably right around when I was going down to Arizona. They packed up and left. And I think it was a planned move. It wasn't a last minute spur, because they had talked about, hey, we're going to move to Hawaii at some point, because we talked about, they told Ian when they met Ian, you have to come visit us in Hawaii sometimes.
You're lying. No, you're lying. You're lying about Melody. No shot. No, my gosh, bro. You're lying about Melody. Man, bro. Damn it. Man, bro, these... Fuck, dude. What is wrong with these fucking parents and people, bro? How can you take... For everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, we when I went on News Nation a while ago, we covered a little girl who was missing. Her name was Melody Buzzard. They hadn't seen her in a long time, and her mom was being questioned, but nothing was being done. So when I interviewed with News Nation, Ashley Buzzard asked me about it. I'm sorry, not Ashley Buzzard. I said the wrong name. Banfield, Ashley Banfield. And we talked about it, and we're just basically been waiting this whole time to know where Melody was, but it's all, man, bro. That sucks. That's just for another time. I'm gonna have to compartmentalize that and come back to it. It's not that I don't care. It's just something I'm gonna have to digest, and we'll talk about it another time.
How that looks suspicious, though. The timing of them
How it looks suspicious?
right in the middle of all of that.
Absolutely, everything looks suspicious. But I knew that they would plan to move then, and I didn't know exactly when they were gonna move. And so many things though look suspicious, of course. And I think having some basis of knowledge on what people had already planned and what's actually going on, it kind of makes it less suspicious to me, I guess.
Where do you guys think JJ and Tylee are?
I don't know, and I've been asked that so many times. And as we know, I've had every fear in the world of what could have happened to them. And I think
she does not care. She heard Alex straight up say that you don't want to know where JJ is. Tell me she doesn't know something. Tell me that.
most of December, when after Lori and Chad just disappeared and I didn't have a phone number for them and no contact, I am thinking the worst, because I get a phone call from one of Lori's old friends, and she scares me with a lot of, I think this happened or this could have happened. And I'm having every what if, because I'm like, yeah, I didn't see them the whole time I was up there in November, but I also know and had seen, text messages from Kay and how she was treating Lori after Charles passed away. And I also knew who Lori was, though. And Lori's always been somebody with a plan. She's always done everything to protect her kids.
Oh, she's got a plan, and you know it. There's parts of this,
So up until when my door was broken down and things shifted and I can't talk to Lori and Chad, absolutely, I'm dumping on Ian, hey, what if this happened? What if this happened? And if I have a nightmare about something happening, like, what if this? And it just got dumped all on him unfairly, as we're newly married, and this just gets thrown in our lap.
We can transition with that into everything that you allegedly told him, or that Ian wrote down. So Ian, can you just kind of explain the background about how this document came to be?
So the whole purpose of the document was to send to Melanie's lawyers so that they knew what I had gone in and told the FBI. So I told Melanie, it was December 19th, I think, that I'd been talking with the police, and a little later I told her I'd been recording her. And when I wrote that document, the whole purpose was, it was after I told Melanie I'd been working with the FBI and the police that I wrote this. The whole idea is to protect her. Her lawyers need to know exactly what I said, how I said it. And that's how I wanted to present it to them, is these are the fears that I shared with them, that Melanie had shared with me. And in that document, I mean, it sounds a lot more affirmative than what I heard. But when I go into the police, I want action. I want this to be over with, basically. So my whole purpose is, I went and I shared with the FBI everything that I heard, everything I was afraid of. I think, at that point, I thought the kids were in danger. I thought there was something, dark and sinister going on. I was afraid. And so things came out when I talked with the FBI in a way that they shouldn't have. And I kind of regret the way I presented it to them, because I feel like it's kind of blown this thing up a lot more than it should have. There wasn't really a whole lot going on until my ex-wife.
Why wouldn't you, if you did have those fears and everyone's so scared, why wouldn't you cooperate with the FBI and the police and help them? You know where Chad and Lori are. You did have contact. It's BS. This is literally the definition of bullshit right here.
I went and spoke with the FBI and the police. And then, a week later, they're starting to put out press releases and all these things. So, I don't know if what we shared acted as a catalyst for that, or if, maybe I'm just full of myself.
Well, but for the casual reader seeing this, there is some shocking stuff in there. I mean,
yeah,
Chad and Lori apparently told you, Melanie, that JJ and Tylee had been possessed and become zombies, that Alex may have to take care of the kids. Great faith, never wavered in his trust of the Lord. Ian, can you understand that these writings are alarming, concerning, suspicious on all counts?
Yeah, I can absolutely see, anybody who doesn't know what's going on, they're going to look at this and go, yeah, this is insane. And at the time I wrote this is something where Brandon and my ex-wife, Natalie, so Brandon contacted my ex-wife, Natalie. And
blame your exes. This is their fault. Here we go with this blame train. Gosh, the deflection is insanity. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Basically shared the idea with her that Melanie's in a cult, Lori's in a cult, Chad's a cult leader. They tried to kill me. They killed Charles. There was this whole plot. And
that's literally to the T what it is. Nothing but truth was said there.
I'm hearing this and I'm going, holy crap, what did I get myself into? And so anything that happens, anything I hear from then on, even if it's something I've heard before, I'm looking at it through the lens of this could be a cult. Something weird is going on. And I'm hearing this right after her door gets kicked in by the Rexburg police, and we see a search warrant looking for JJ. And so everything seems really off at that point. And so, I've kind of described it in the past as, like you see a Treehouse of Horrors episode of The Simpsons for Halloween, and you see a dark, a claw, shadow of a claw up on the wall, and then the light comes on, you see it's just a branch scratching on your window. I guess, depending on how you shine the light, there are facts, but then depending on how you shine the flashlight on, the facts look different. And so,
what facts changed, Ian? When did the facts change? When did we start backpedaling up shit creek?
The way I'm looking at it when I'm hearing all these things is I'm scared. There's a cult, there's all this going on. And as I looked at it, as you go through the document, you kind of see my thought process of, this is stuff that I'm hearing, this is stuff I'm worried about. And as I continue to look at it, I'm starting to see that there's really nothing proving any of this. There's nothing proving that Tylee and JJ have come to any harm, aside from the fact that, you know, I mean, you can even see at the end of the document, I'm still questioning, why in the world do we not know where the kids are? But as I've, you know, gotten to know Summer and Janice and heard more about Lori's life and the experiences she's gone through, I'm starting to see, you know, maybe there is some reasoning behind what's going on.
Who gives a shit what Lori's been through? That doesn't explain why the kids were missing and you all knew it. And this is before they're found. Where do you think they are? Tell me where you think that they are. Because apparently they are just out being tutored and out being in school.
I have no clue what's going on, but I know that, you know, Melanie is a good person. I've loved her through this whole thing, you know, and I was never really concerned about her. But in the beginning, I'm like, holy crap, her uncles are into some shady stuff. I need to try to figure out what's going on. I'm going to wear, you know, or I'm going to record their conversations, try to get from point A to point B, get this thing wrapped up and over with so I can move on with my life and my new life.
So Melanie, oh, go ahead, Melanie.
I was going to say, I think it's important to understand where some of these things come from. So initially, when Charles filed for divorce with Lori, he brought a document over to my home with me and Brandon, and we were still, you know, we were still married and everything seemed okay right then. And Charles and Lori, things just went quick. She had found a lot of women on his computer and a lot of purchases and stuff that he had been, you know, purchasing through, I think it was Hollywood Hobbies or something, I can't remember. And she's upset, obviously, and he's somebody that's on the road all the time for his career, similar to what Brandon does for his work. And she found this and, you know, kind of confronted him with it, you know, what is this? And Charles had never said an ill thing about Lori ever, just thought the world of her, just worshipped her. And as soon as she just started asking questions, he flipped. He came over to our house. He said, you know, Lori's crazy. He showed us this document. And that's the first time I saw these stats, if you will, it was from Charles. And he said, I found this. And it said, it's been posted all over, right? And it's, you know, so something about Lori or Tylee being dark and JJ being light. And I'm like, you know, trying to process all of this. You know, what does this mean? And he came over.
Believed all of that and followed her, and we're talking about light and dark. You asked who was dark on the phone, but you're just trying to process this.
We're saying, hey, Lori doesn't think I'm me. She thinks I'm Ned or something. And I'm, you know, what do you take from all that? I don't understand what's going on. And it just felt off. I'm like, what's going on here? And, you know, Lori wasn't telling everybody in our family.
We're lawyered the hell up.
Charles has been cheating on me. She was keeping it to herself, dealing with it, trying to keep it between just her and Charles. And Charles just went.
She was cheating. Oh, I'm going to snap today. Today's the breaking point. Charles, okay, let me just play it this way. If Charles was cheating, Lori was cheating as well. So regardless of how you flip that, Lori was cheating and she had no right in the world to be pissed off at Charles, even if that was the case, because she was cheating as well. So she can drop the high and mighty act because she was already cheating on Charles. But projection, all of them are projectors. Everything that they're doing is literally what they blame others for doing.
Ballistic, and he started emailing everybody in the family. Then he took JJ away, and he's like, Lori, you're never going to see JJ again. You're crazy. And it's these patterns of narcissism where, you know, everything's fine until you start asking questions. I mean, I didn't see the same exact pattern happen with my ex-husband. Everything was fine. He thought the world of me until I asked some questions he was uncomfortable answering. And instead of saying, hey, you know, these things, here's an explanation for this.
So out of nowhere, you ask him if that you say that God told you that he was a gay man when you've been with him for a long time, have multiple kids. And that is, he changes his opinion after that. I'm sure that's what happened. Even though you told him God told you he was gay when you've been with him for that long. I think you would have picked up on that at some point.
He turned on me and he said, Melanie, I'm going to take the kids away from you. You're crazy. I'm going to get you excommunicated from the church and you're never going to see your kids again. And that's just from asking, hey, what's this video I found, right? What are these text messages? And so many things. And
this is the twist is easy to get out of. I can help you see through all of it. I'm sure you already do, but it's ridiculous.
I don't know. It was like watching Charles unravel first, then Brandon did the same exact thing. And then it's just these patterns. I'm like, you just can't like make this stuff up. It's the same exact thing happening over and over again. And, you know, Lori just moved on and, you know, she didn't play any of Charles's games. And he eventually he's back and forth. Hey, I want to be back together with you, Lori. And then he'd say, your end's coming soon, just tons of threats. And so the day he came to the house, Summer said, hey, Alex, will you go over? And, Charles has been kind of aggressive and, acting crazy. He's going to go over there to get JJ. Will you just go over there just in case something happens? And as we see, something did happen. And I know they're trying to change that whole investigation now to make it look like Lori had something planned or Alex did, but there's no doubt in my mind about that shooting.
Shut your fucking mouth. Your bullshit is, do you not taste it? Do you need to go brush your teeth? Because there's nothing but shit coming out your mouth right now. You have no doubts. You knew what it was. The conversations came out. The conversations that was happening about Charles came out.
And Brandon went and ran with that story to his advantage. He pulled me into the garage, and he and my Uncle Adam said, Charles has been murdered by Alex. And just finding this out, I'm like, it doesn't feel right, but I'm like, there's got to be something more to
this. This is whoa, hey, whoa, slow it down. All right, there's one more part of this.
Following up on what you were saying, Melanie, so you do believe that Charles was shot in self-defense, that Alex was defending himself?
Absolutely, and I think...
Yep, stick up for the murdering aunt. She's worth it.
Tylee was the biggest... I don't know, I went to her and was just like, how are you? And she was so brave about speaking about it, and I was like, wow, and Tylee's very collected, very mature. I admire Tylee so much for how brave she was, and she explained everything, as so did Lori and so did Alex, and it made sense with how Charles had been acting, and you're in shock that it just went to that extreme, but I'm glad Alex was there to protect Tylee. Because
are you kidding me? We've talked about this a million times. Let's theorize and say that for whatever reason that Charles did get aggressive and this and that. There's levels to all of it, right? The only self-defense you would do is if someone was trying to, that's what self-defense is someone else is trying to take your life. So that's what self-defense means. A bat and a gun are not even on the same ranking. Even if your story was true, it still wouldn't add up that you had to actually kill someone. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It was so premeditated. All of the texts have come out. All of this information has come out. Don't see this, like this, knowing you're trying to pitch this.
That's the only, Lori and Charles were arguing, but the only time Alex said, hey, I'm going to get involved in this is when, he had a baseball bat and was, I don't know, with Tylee, I don't know if he was going to hit her. Tylee made it sound like he was probably going to hit her and kind of taking the bat away. And I hated that Tylee had to go through that. And I know there's been a lot of criticism of how Lori acted afterwards, and how she's smiling on camera. And I know Lori, and when she's uncomfortable, she kind of, or in shock, she'll just kind of laugh or smile, try to make light of it. And I do the same thing. That's just something how we handle being in shock, and every person handles being in shock differently. But
No. I've been in shock. I've seen others in shock. You don't laugh much. Not in circumstances like this. Maybe if you broke your foot and you're trying to make light of the situation for a minute to make yourself feel better. Not when it comes to stuff like this.
That's when everything was kind of started to be strange. Charles had said all these things in court documents, things I had never heard Lori say. And that's when he started, that's when it kind of all these, these strange ideas started flowing around. And our family, and I know Lori's always been an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And she loves learning, and she spent a lot of time in the temple trying to learn and grow from experiences and try to feel peace from all the things that had happened in her life. And Charles, I feel like, took that to an extreme with the things that he said about her. Honestly, I see everything that Charles did, and it looks as if he was setting up. As soon as Lori caught on to what he had done, like the emails about his life insurance, Charles sold life insurance and had his own company. I mean, the texts between people, it almost looked like a setup. It was very alarming to see all these things.
This perspective is the most fabricated bias perspective you could have. And I'm just being 1,000% real. Absolutely fabricated, absolute BS. No truth to it. Sick.
I've been asked, what spiritual experiences has Lori had? And that's not for me to answer or to say what Lori and Chad's beliefs are. But I know the people they are, and I know they're good people, and they're trying, and they're somebody that people as a family would get together and talk about, the mysteries of God and these deep doctrine conversations. And, hey, what do you think about this? What about this idea? Or, hey, this isn't a book. What do you think about this? And we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to discern truth from error and just learn.
Then discern truth. Wake up.
And in our church, we believe in revelation, where we can, it's an ongoing process, and we're learning, and continually everything's changing. And we're just people that are trying to grow in our faith and be closer to the Savior. And there's no cult. It's Lori's my aunt. Zulema's almost like an aunt to me. Alex is an uncle, and this is my family. And we're
don't leave out that Chad's your dad. Let's not leave that out.
Trying to learn about these things, but the whole fear, I guess, where it comes down to Tylee and JJ and this zombie idea came from a disturbing phone call I got from one of Lori's old friends right after they took off to Hawaii, and telling me these things. Lori and Alex, I think, did something to Tylee and JJ, and we don't know where they're at, and Lori's lied to you, and all these things that didn't feel right. That phone call, I just felt a lot of fear and doubt, and that's when I kind of went into this worrying phase of, and I'm newly married to Ian, and I'm sharing these things with him, and can't sleep at night some nights. I'm like, I don't know where they're at. I don't know what's going on, and I don't understand these things.
No, the worry is probably, what am I going to do when all this hits the fan?
And Ian, which I don't know, is talking with Natalie and Brandon, and they're telling him these terrifying things that aren't true, that I've plotted to kill Brandon, and I'm in a cult.
She just said that are true.
I have no idea that what Ian's doing behind the scenes, and
do you hear that?
I'm in Natalie and Brandon, and they're telling him these terrifying things that aren't true,
telling him these terrifying things that are true.
That I've plotted to kill Brandon, and I'm in a cult, and so I have no idea that what Ian's doing behind the scenes, and I'm in a scared time in my life where I'm trying to figure out the pieces. I'm trying to just even know what's going on with Brandon and his plans, and who he's working with, and where my kids are. And
Tess, I know, for real. And thank you for your chat.
It's just December was terrifying. Like, we're thrown into this boiling pot as soon as we get married, and trying to just adapt the best we can.
Melanie, did you actually believe these things that Lori and Chad had told you, or were you telling Ian just to kind of get it off your chest and say, I don't know what to think?
Lori and Chad did not tell me most of those things in the document. Those were fears I was hearing from other people, and never did I believe them, but I feared, because when you don't have knowledge about something, you think, and you're in a scary situation like this, you think the worst. And I'm an open book. I just kind of say it how it is. And I learned, I didn't know Ian was, recording conversations and all these things. I didn't know Ian was talking to Natalie or to Brandon. And I had told Ian, the history with Brandon. And I warned him. I said, if, Natalie's probably going to try to get a hold of Brandon, and Brandon's going to run with all these lies about me. And Ian knew knew who I was, but the factor of Tylee and JJ going missing, and he's never seen them before, and had only met Chad and Lori one time. He doesn't know, what I know about the past of Lori trying to do.
You asked Chad and Lori for permission to marry Melanie as her parents. You were on those phone calls. None of you were none of you were ignorant.
Everything she can to protect her kids, and people who have been threatening her. And, being married so quickly, I don't think I had caught him up on all the family history. And there was so much going on in my own custody case with my children, and we hadn't got to that. So real quick, we get married, thrown into this boiler pot, and we're doing the best we can. And Ian, I know he acted on fears and doubt rather than the things that he did know, but I don't hold any blame towards him. This was a terrifying time for us, and I'm just continuously dumping on him. What if this happened? What if this happened? If I had my dad sending me threatening messages saying things about the shooting and that Brandon Boudreaux's claiming. And
what was the original question? Because we're so out of scope here. I'm almost about to pound my gavel and say this is not in scope.
I never even know. I still to this day don't know if this shooting actually happened, or who did this.
Bullshit. How about that? How about the hell that you literally told and laughed about Brandon being afraid of Alex? I'm sure that just meant in general, right? Because Alex is like a UFC fighter or something. You just wanted him to be afraid. Do you
think it was Alex?
The only time I thought it was Alex was, I think the first initial fear of could Alex have done something like this was, I don't know where the first fear came in, but the first meeting with Detective Pillar the day after the shooting, I said, here's all the people Brandon associates with. And then he said, do you have Alex and Lori's number? I said, yeah, here's her number. Do you think they have anything to do with it? But when I heard that, I kind of was like, okay, it sounds like Brandon's trying to set them up for something. And
I'm about to jump off. I'm about to turn it off.
I know they don't have anything to do with it. But later on in December, Alex passes away. And then on Christmas, I get a phone call from Brandon and he says, if you want to talk to your kids, I had to listen to him bullying me for an hour and threatening me and saying, you have to go to the FBI and say that, Alex shot at me. And I said, I don't know that, Brandon. And he's like, if you ever want to see your kids again, you have to go and tell them that. And I was, why did they never call Alex or say, hey, can you come in and meet with us? We have some questions for you. But Brandon was so sure, but his story kept changing. So still to this day, I don't know what happened in this shooting. He had my dad on board sending me text messages saying, Melanie, sentencing is coming soon for you. They know it was Alex. They know it was, this Jeep registered to Tylee. And I've been trying to put the pieces together of what's going on because I don't have the facts to that. But the knowledge that I do have, it doesn't add up to all these, speculation and rumors that are flying around. And still to this day, I have not seen one shred of evidence about this shooting Brandon's claiming that leads me to believe that it was Alex Cox.
This dude knows because he heard that phone call, recorded it. Okay. We'll just all pretend.
Do you believe that Brandon has turned dark?
No, and that's in that document, the terminology, the way I understand this is in our faith, you have, as you increase in becoming closer to your Savior and act on obedience and righteousness, you increase in light. And
that's not how that works.
As you make bad decisions or invite evil things into your life, you're losing that light of Christ. I can't tell. We talk about in our religion the gift of spiritual discernment, and I think you look at the fruits of people to know for yourself, hey, is this a good person I want to have in my life? Is this a bad person? And never is there ever any ill intent if somebody is not making good choices in their life to do harm to them. Pray for them, and you bless those who persecute you. And
you didn't bless anybody that persecuted you.
Use you, and that's how I view it. And I don't see children as being light or dark. We believe in the age of 8 is the age of accountability when you're baptized. And, from then on, you can make decisions in light or dark, if you will. And that's just the terminology
Nate is LDS. He knows. He
see
knows the church's standard. He knows that this doesn't fit into the realm of what the church of LDS church believes.
As the way these things are worded, it sounds terrifying, and they're stemming from bits of truth, I guess, that we talk about in this in our religion, and that's kind of where that comes from.
So in talking with you guys, you seem like mainstream Latter-day Saints. I think a lot of people would watch this and think they're mainstream, but the writings are, I've been a lifelong member and I've never heard a lot of that stuff. And I think there are a lot of people that say, whoa, that's fringe. I also think Latter-day Saints are very uncomfortable with the word cult because sometimes we're saying we're in a cult. You said earlier, Melanie, that you're not in a cult, but are you in a fringe group? Are you in a group that's not mainstream?
Yes.
Or Lori and Chad in a group that's not mainstream?
Hang on one second.
Oh, don't answer. Got to have those lawyers because you don't want to answer that.
Can you hear me okay, Nate?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not in any cult, and I don't believe any radical beliefs off of the, I believe it. Can you still see us?
You're there.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I don't believe in anything that is against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter. There are, topics where, we don't have full understanding. Like you see in this document, it talks translation. We don't have information, a lot of that in our church. It's something that's talked about in the scriptures. And these are things that, are interesting and you want to learn and know more about them. These are the mysteries of God that, no one really has the real answers on. And these are things to learn about, but there's no beliefs that I have or that I know that Chad and Lori have that are against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or anything inconsistent with that faith.
One other question about the document, Ian, and then we can move on. You mentioned in there that your whole intent was not to smear anybody. You didn't want to smear anyone. Your intent was to protect your family and help solve the case of the missing kids. So can you guys address the public as to what you all are doing to help in the case?
So we, to the best of our knowledge, have cooperated fully with the FBI, with law enforcement. Anytime they've had questions, we've answered. That's all we can do right now. We're trying to put, trying to set people at ease a little bit. Right now, the kids are missing. We don't know where they are. And there's so much speculation because of this information's leaked. And the accusations that Charles made in his divorce paperwork, and people coming out of the woodwork to come after Chad or come after Lori.
You cannot be fucking standing up for them, dog. Be a man and know that you had the same doubts everyone else had, to the extent of going to the FBI and literally trying to report to find out where the kids are. And now shit's sweet. Now it's all accusations and crazy nonsense, because you got to look at it from the right light and the right angle. You got to see it from the right angle, because then shit will make sense, because you got to see it from this side of the wall, and the shadow is going to cast a little bit different, like the fucking Simpsons.
A lot of speculation of what's happening, but so far, all we know is that they're missing. And I think, Janice put it, Lori's mom, Janice, she put it really well. The kids aren't missing to Lori. They're missing to the rest of us, and we don't know where. And while I would absolutely love to know where they are, just get this over with, move on with my life, I have to try to have faith and believe that there's going to be a happy ending to this. I certainly hope there is, because it's going to have a really negative effect on my life and on Melanie's life if there isn't.
So you guys have talked.
So it's a negative effect on your life if there's not a happy ending, like this is a movie?
The police in Rexburg and the FBI, and you, when they want to talk to you, you're open to talking with them and answering questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I had my first initial meeting with Detective Hermosillo, and then I invited FBI into my home for a few hours and told them everything that I didn't know. And I didn't know Ian had been. Did I know you were working with them? My first meeting with FBI, I shared a lot of these things I'm sharing with you, Nate, and they were like, "Okay, this isn't where we thought this was going at all." We had heard all these things from Ian and from Natalie and from Brandon and from Kay, and it doesn't. We haven't heard this other side of reason why would Lori be doing what she's doing? Why does she not feel safe to say where her kids are, or why does she feel the need to protect them?
I've heard, I don't know if I've heard you guys, but a lot of people have said this is a lot of hype. Granted, the media has, latched onto this story because it is two missing kids. So the hype could die down if the kids were produced, or if that she said where the kids are. Why do you think she won't?
I don't have that answer, but I know no one is listening to her side. She's been what seems proven guilty before even given the chance to speak for herself. And I know she hasn't come forward and said that, and I absolutely would love that. But she knows what she's doing, I believe, and she knows what.
Gosh, get off her dick. Man, I'm at another level of anger right now. I'm trying to hold my tongue because I know I'll start saying some stuff that's gonna go off the wall. Man, this is stupid as hell. Why did you set this interview up? Like, was this your idea? Because this is just worse than anything I could have ever imagined. This is so much worse than what I thought it would be.
Where the kids are. And I think, I can't remember the quote she said very initially when things kind of took off. Something about when all this speculation and rumor is over. I believe when all the speculation and rumor is over and we're looking at the real facts here, I believe, she has a story to tell. And I know she doesn't have reason to trust a lot of people right now. And, I can't ask that question to her, and she's, in jail waiting her time to have her time to defend and tell her story. And we just haven't seen that yet.
Melanie, why can't you ask her where the kids are?
Yeah, exactly.
She's in jail and everything's been recorded. And as we
why does it matter if it's recorded?
Heard earlier in her court case, it sounds like her conversations, even with her own lawyer, have been recorded and then given to Lieutenant Ball or the prosecutor over there. And I don't feel like that's I feel like that's a huge concern. I don't think if I asked her, she would tell me. I mean, she didn't tell me before, probably just to not involve me in whatever she's got going on. And I just trusted, she's got a plan, and I just want to be love and support and do whatever I can. But when it comes down to it, every fear, every worry, every doubt that I had, it doesn't stick to the knowledge I do know of who Lori is and everything she's done to protect those kids. Those kids love their mom, and they don't want to be with Kay. JJ's never wanted to be with Kay, and
I am baffled. This, I kid you not, is 10 times, not even 10 times. This is not even in the realm of what I thought this was going to be, and the things are coming out of her mouth.
I wish we could see the times kids actually come to try to be in JJ's life. And I mean, I was there in Arizona most of the time Lori and JJ were there after they adopted him. I might have met Kay one time, but she wasn't a big part of JJ's life. And
When the fuck were you around enough to be able to judge if someone was in someone's life?
I see her, even just her aggression, and it's not somebody who I see a lot of things behind the scenes that aren't being said.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, the hell you do. We can agree on one thing. It's that.
I don't know everything going on. I don't know where Lori would have the kids. But,
do you think they're safe? I know Chad has said that they are safe, and of course, we don't know what that means. But do you think they're safe? Do you think they're in a bunker somewhere, or?
Nate, let me modify this just a little bit. Part of the premise of what our clients are saying, and of course includes Melanie and her sitting here with us, but also Summer and Janice. The premise of it is first and foremost, they don't think they've ever seen anything in Lori's life that would give them any evidence that she could harm her children. And
that's the only thing you can say, is that you just couldn't believe it, but I knew there was something in my stomach that felt wrong. But I think it's to protect yourself. Not when you have this much inside information. We are not in the same boat. I did not know what Melanie knew. So that's very different. Very different place. You cannot just keep doing that when you fucking, oh my gosh.
That's base one. The next level is that they know that Lori had a basis on a belief that she needed to take steps to protect her kids. We don't have all the details about that, but she had expressed at least that much to them. They were moving out of the state of Arizona. They were going away. She had a reason for doing that. The third thing on this is that they had experienced in Lori's life this notion that she has a substantial distrust of the system because of its failure in her ability to protect her own kids. The system never was able to help her do that, the judicial system I'm speaking of. And so it's hard to go into Lori and say, well, just tell us where the kids are, when it undermines everything that I just set forward. They don't think she did anything to the kids. They know she's got a basis for wanting to protect them. They know that she doesn't trust the system. And so to go in and ask her if she were to tell them where the kids are would undermine her ultimate purpose, which is to protect the kids. I don't think the question, everybody wants that question asked because they just want to see where the kids are. But that's not what Lori's goal is here. I think Lori's goal is...
Yeah, exactly. She's hiding that shit, right? Why? Why would you sit in jail if your kids were perfectly fine because you think the system's going to do something? You're not even with them anyway. Even if they were in a bunker, you've abandoned them. It's just like what we just talked about with Ashley.
Protect them. And saying where they are doesn't protect them in her mind.
I think the bigger question we see, where are the kids? Where are the kids? I think the bigger question is, why does Lori feel the need to protect her kids? And from who, from what? That's
the bigger question, not the well-being of the children. But what is Lori? What is goddess Lori got going on? Let's think about Lori. Fuck Lori. Who cares what she's got going on? This is about kids. This is about missing kids at this point. Who gives a shit what Lori's thinking and feeling? Fuck her feelings. She should have produced the kids if she could have. Which is why this whole thing is so stupid. Because you guys, know inside information. What a stupid ass thing to say. Why is it all about protecting Lori?
And until we know that question, she probably will not tell any of us that. And, she's willing to sit in jail over keeping quiet and not sharing that information, I guess.
Yeah. I saw a news clip from Kay where she said that she's never threatened Lori. And then at the end of the conversation, she said, yeah, I had some phone calls and emails where I said some pretty mean things, but really I just want to see the kids or see JJ. And you can't have it both ways. Either you sent mean and nasty communications that caused Lori to be threatened, or you didn't. And it sounds like she did. And Lori's saying she did. So, we expect Kay's going to come forward and say more. I would never want to harm JJ. All I wanted to do was this. But in Lori's mind and in Lori's perspective, she was under attack. And she felt that she had good reason to believe that and was taking whatever steps she took in order to fulfill that goal.
Melanie, when's the last time you spoke with her?
There you go.
I had a phone call with her in, I want to say, the second week of December. It was after Alex had passed. And that was right when I just found out. I think it was the night Ian told me that he had been going to the police and FBI. I hadn't heard anything from them from then on out. So from mid-December probably.
And then she and Chad
damn lie.
Moved to Hawaii, or they were already in Hawaii at that time.
I would guess that they were already in Hawaii at that time because they left that last week in November, and then a couple weeks later, had a phone call with them. I didn't have their number, and I think that was the last time.
Yeah, your multiple phones, your multiple conversations, your code words, moving out of that apartment as fast as you could, everything. It's just all getting slammed, bro. Oh, this aged like freaking milk in a microwave, bro.
Yeah, that I spoke with them.
What do you want people to know about what you guys know, about any involvement, about your aunt, about the kids? What would be your final closing statement?
I'll give Nate a lot of credit. He did a great job with this. You got to give Nate credit. Because this keeping your composure and not trying to listen, he just listened, which I think I would not be able to listen to all of this. I'd be like, bro, I did not ask you that.
Our biggest focus is we're working on our own custody cases right now that are affected by all this speculation and rumor. It's deflecting from what our exes are doing and keeping our kids away from us unjustly. That's our biggest focus. I think we're running on faith and hope that, Lori's got a plan and she knows where JJ and Tylee are, but I don't know where my children are. And I'm having to spend all this time coming up and, telling the truth because everything's been manipulated into lies in the media. People aren't seeing the whole picture of things. And this is a whole deflection on, the truth. Everything that's being thrown around, all these ideas and people bouncing off each other, and they're missing the truth here. And that's, I think, that's our ex's goal. Let's distract from everything they're doing and confuse it in this case and take advantage of it, which is sad. It's sad for our children. We pray for them every day, and we know we're going to be with them soon. And maybe they'll see us on TV, maybe not, but we know that they know who we are, and we patiently await every day until we're reunited with them.
Ian, is there anything you want to add?
That's not at all what Nate asked, at all.
Just kind of basically echo what Melanie said. We've got her ex-husband, my ex-wife, who are right now taking advantage of this case and going ham with it to keep our children away from us.
Which is sad for the kids, but I would do the same fucking thing, bro. If Kelsey went off the rails like that, I would be like, bro, you cannot be around these kids. There's missing kids for people you're close to. It's not safe for you to have the kids. I don't know what you're up to, but I'm going to do everything in my power to keep my kids away from you. That's exactly what I would do too. So it's sad for the children, but don't play games right now and make this about your exes. How is that coming up here?
When, they're making all sorts of claims and where they know Melanie, she was the primary caretaker of her 4 kids for 10 years, never did anything at all to harm them. Was a loving mother, and for some reason, all of a sudden, now Brandon's trying to take them away. And same thing with my ex-wife. I took good care of my kids, and I loved them, and they loved being with me. They loved being with Melanie. We had them through, almost entirely through the month of January. I think there was 1 week when we didn't have the kids, almost, sole custody essentially. Even though our custody agreement was, Natalie essentially had primary custody. She just kind of gave them to me and said, "I can't handle this right now."
What does this have to do with anything Nate asked?
Didn't have any problems with Melanie or me being around the kids at that point, but now that's a problem. So that, this whole case it's being used against us to keep our children away. Our exes are frustrated with, things kind of blew up when she and I got married. They both kind of became very upset. It's frustrating to have this case continue. That we had a preliminary hearing scheduled for, I think, the 7th and the 8th, and now it's been pushed out to July. And until things get resolved, it's going to continue to affect us.
Right.
We're just ready for it to be done.
It's all about you guys. And you know what? I hate to see any children be ripped away from one parent, but if one of your parents is mentally ill and a danger to your life, you should not be around that parent. I do not care to justify that. If that is the case, you should not be around the children, period.
Huge stall, Nate, and unfortunately COVID's been pushing things back, but the most disappointing thing was when we had a family custody hearing finally for the Boudreaux case with our children. Brandon didn't show up. I don't know where he was. And later on, seeing him on TV, a few days later, front row at Lori's hearing, waiting to, see if they can keep her in jail longer and not reduce her bail. That's upsetting. Where were my kids during then? And why is he leaving them? And why are they not the focus?
You really want to start picking up on your trips to Hawaii and the times that you weren't with your kids, doing vacations and staying extra long? You really want to go down that route?
Of his life, and it's sad to see that. And tomorrow's Mother's Day, and I have every plea in my heart that Brandon will have any kindness in his heart to reunite me with my children and let them talk to their mother. They're scared. I don't know what they've been told, but I know they know in their hearts who I am. I've done everything for them, and my whole life put everything, every ounce into them. And I'm so grateful I've done that, because every day without them is just, it's unbearable. And I know everything's going to come forward eventually. And as we just keep trying to tell the truth and be ourselves and try to do the right thing, I know things are going to work out. I just want to thank you for being open-minded and for wanting to share both sides and not being afraid to share truth. I know there's so much confusion out there, and this is
Oh, there's no confusion.
this is what we want. We just want everything to be heard, and I think everything will eventually unravel as we see it continuing to move forward. You asked if anything. I appreciate you being willing to clarify anything that has been reported wrong, because we see it reported wrong every day in all these different news sources, and
Yeah, that's really funny.
really just want to call each one and help and say, hey, you got this wrong. These are the facts. And I remember you saying, how Brandon Boudreaux has claimed that I have $1 million of reasons to shoot at him or kill him, or money for a cult. And I know you're just reporting what you hear and what's given to you. And I appreciate you giving us the time to respond to these false claims and accusations. And we're always happy to answer and clear up questions. And just thank you for hearing us.
You don't even want to know how many questions I have for you. Yikes. That was brutal. That might have been one of the worst things I've had to sit through. I kid you not. That was one of the worst things we've ever sat through. First of all, that was the most deflective, lied, most all over the place, not precise. How many words could I use to say how disjointed that was? And I got to give Nate a lot of credit, because, hey, we're Tylee and JJ. Well, our exes are after us and they're screwing our lives, and the truth will be revealed, and it's gonna come out, and this Lori's a good person and Lori's doing good. It's like, why was everyone so defensive of Lori? Okay, I don't get it. Why did everybody come to her immediate defense? I didn't defend Lori. I just thought there's no way Lori could actually do something to her children. Like, that was just so out of the scope of possibility in my mind, because that just seemed like it was not possible. Like, there's no way she'd do it. And you know what? She didn't technically do it. She had someone else do it, but it still happened. So to sit there and just be so defensive of her all the way to that point is insanity. It's just insanity. Like, why was everyone so defensive of her? I don't understand. Like, did you not have a bad feeling? Did you not have bad nightmares? Melanie even said she had nightmares. Like, I was having nightmares every night, but I still gaslit myself into thinking that there's no way they're not alive. And then when I talked to Lori in jail for those few, months during COVID, I'd ask her. I'd be like, okay, so she's like, well, we're going to figure out, she did promise those things, but I knew something was wrong, but I still kept thinking there's just no way they're not alive. Like, that's just not possible. There's no way. At the end of the day, there's no way. But not when you know as much as they did. For Ian to back up all those claims and try to go back is ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous to backpedal everything, all the fears, all the doubts, all the worries. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't even want to go on a tangent because I think it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyway, so tomorrow we are going to have Christmas Eve. We will probably be doing, like I said, we'll have a Christmas stream for everybody, probably Christmas night. So I'll probably put that up today or tomorrow. I'll let you guys know when that is, and we can just hang out. We can finally take a little break from all this stuff. We can just hang out and just enjoy Christmas together and just be happy to be here. So we'll do that, and that will make me excited and happy to take a break from all this stuff. Then coming back after Christmas, we're going to finish the week out on Friday. We'll also do a Saturday. Melanie Gibb has a interview as well that's very long with Nate. It's actually, there's two different ones. I don't know if we want to get into that, but you guys let me know if you do want to continue going down, either going into the police interviews, if you want to go into, there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. So like this, never seen it. I think I've heard a portion of Melanie Gibbs, one of her interviews, and it was the zombie part because I was very curious because I know she knew about the zombie thing because they were best friends. And I know how my mom is with people. And so anyway, let me know if you guys want to watch just anything else. A few of you have sent me some emails with some videos. So thank you for doing that. That's really kind of you. And that's helpful for us to just kind of just know everything. So if you want to do that, let me know. Other than that, have an amazing Christmas. I will see you guys on Christmas night for a stream and hang out with you guys. Other than that, love you guys, mods. Really appreciate you. And yeah, man, I really love our community and I'm grateful for you. If you're not celebrating Christmas, still come hang out and just be here. That way we got something to do that night. Other than that, love you guys, man. Appreciate you. And I'll see you soon.